The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 28 of Shootin' Shit. Hopefully you've dried your tears from the last episode. The farewell to the bad guy, the too sweet salute to Razor Ramon Scott Hall. We had a lot of fun with that episode, me and the guys from Such Good Shoot. Check them out on the Johners Podcast Network if you can. One of our sister shows that we love working with here at Shootin' Shit. As you can see, I'm still Giovanni Too Hottie. I'm still solo dolo because DDJ is still trying to rehab from getting the $6 million man's kneecaps installed. And Joey K is still on that endless pursuit to have the perfect shit in all of Philly or Philadelphia. So yeah, they left me alone. Hopefully I can find a friend to talk to this week because there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world of wrestling. And who knows, maybe we'll dive into the grandest stage of them all that's coming up very soon, which is WrestleMania. Either way, thank you guys for sitting in. Thank y'all for listening. This week's episode 28 with a special guest. Shootin' Shit starts now.
I just gotta have a reason to play the beep every once in a while, so.
What is wrong with you, dude?
I start piling on the investment money.
All right, Shooter Nation, everybody in the Shooter Gallery, as you've come to find out the past couple of weeks, I have friends outside of my two co-hosts. Let me introduce one of them to you now. This is Mr. Curtis Rich, hailing from the great Ontario, Canada area. Curtis, introduce yourself to the beautiful people.
Hi, everyone. I am Curtis Rich. Of course, if you know me in the Ontario, Canada region, I go by Ontario Gumby. Or if you know me in the wrestling region, I go by Adrian Clay. But we may talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But I'm mainly known as a cosplayer in the Ontario region and as well as a wrestling video producer. So I work for multiple indie wrestling companies in the Ontario, Canada region and have a blast doing it. And I want to thank you for having me on this podcast. I always love talking to everyone and getting to know everyone, and just like your podcast name says, shooting the shit. So, I mean, once again, thank you for having me on.
No problem, brother. Thank you for joining us. Like you said, we like to shoot the shit here. We are a little bit laid back, a little bit informal. To anybody in the Ontario area, if you don't recognize this face, get to know it because he's on the rise in your area. He's doing everything with everybody. And you kind of touched on him, so let's go ahead and, get the cat out the bag. Let's talk a little bit about Adrian Clay.
All righty. Well, what would you like to know about Adrian Clay? There's a lot of things about Adrian Clay. He's a character I've been working on for many years, and thanks to Holden Albright's Patreon, I was able to bring him to life, and it sprung up a whole bunch of different avenues for me. So, yeah, I'm willing to talk about Adrian Clay as Curtis Rich because, as I was saying before we started recording here, Adrian Clay is a little bit of a process for me. So I get into a whole mentality in that kind of character, but I'm totally willing to talk about it. So what would you like to know about Adrian Clay?
Man, so we have the rare opportunity to speak to somebody who's actually in the business. And I've seen some of the Adrian Clay promos, guys. I'll have to put it in our show notes for everyone to give it a good watch and take it in. The character is phenomenal. So kind of get us through real quick and touch on how do you kind of conceptualize that kind of character and how do you just get into that mindset of becoming Clay?
Oh, man. So like I said, Adrian Clay is something I've been working on for a few years. I think I've had like maybe 4 or 5 different versions of Adrian Clay until I stuck with this one. But to give the Too Long Didn't Read version of this, because I could go on for like 20,000 different hours about how perplexed this character is. Essentially, I dabbled into a lot of dark spaces into my life. I'm an abuse victim. Like I was raped when I was 23 years old, and I went through a lot of really hardships and a lot of different things that happened to me, and a lot of different things that happened to my friends and I was a part of, or just really great tragedies. And I kind of tapped into that, if that makes sense, when making Adrian Clay, because my whole thing is I really like characters that feel real. I like characters that you can get emotionally invested into. And what was really important with me with Adrian Clay is if I was going to tackle a character that's very schizophrenic, very bipolar, kind of like it thinks the world is against him, I wanted it to feel as real as possible, so then people could relate to it. I've had messages within people in this tournament that have actually I brought to tears because of just the things that they relate or can relate to the character. And that's very important to me because tackling those kind of mental issues is also very important to me, because I'm all about mental health. Especially if you watch any of my brands or anything that I do, I've always advocated for that. I'm a anxiety induced prone person myself due to being raped. I have it due to PTSD. I don't take medication for it, but I have various different ways that I have to do in order to not feel that way. And I kind of put that into Adrian Clay just to make him feel real. Right. So that's kind of my process for Adrian Clay, is just kind of relaying things that happened in my life and put it into the character, but tone it up a little bit because I was actually very privileged. I had a very great life. My parents were awesome. And they did things for me and still do things for me that I can't say enough about. My parents were very like, we'll do anything for our kids. Right. And I mean, like everything, like they threw away everything for me and my sister and my brother. So I'm very grateful for that. But a lot of my friends didn't, and they went through hardships. So I put that into Adrian Clay. I put the PTSD, anxiety, and all of the mental issues that I've gone through and people that I know have gone through, and just to make the character feel real. So that's essentially how I prepare for Adrian Clay. I dabble into that mentality of just basically people beating me down when I was a kid and when I was younger, and just saying I wouldn't make anything of myself, or just making me feel bad. So it's essentially being very real. But
dude, that's amazing though. There has to be such power to be able to use those emotions and channel it into something that, you know, this character, this persona, and just it's like you're taking ownership of all that. You know, it's one of those, this happened, but this is me using that for something positive. Like you said, you can possibly have an outreach to somebody who's gone through those exact same things. And you could have that's that outlet that you could tell somebody, hey, creative writing, maybe you want to look into something like this, pro wrestling, get into gimmicks, turn it, whatever's happened into a positive for you. And that's a beautiful thing, man.
And that was very important to me, was just, and you nailed it right on the head, is actually just taking a bad experience in my life or others that I know and relaying that into a character, into a story that someone can be very reflective on, or see it in a completely different light that could be, that can tug on your heartstrings. I feel those are the best kind of characters, because I mean, ultimately that's what you want to see in wrestling, or just in media in general. You want to watch a character go from here and rise from here and see that character development. Like, I mean, and I even say that when I talk to people who aren't exactly a fan of wrestling, and they're like, I don't exactly get it. I'm just like, okay, well, look at someone like Triple H, for example. Like, he went from this scrawny little guy that was getting his ass kicked and pretending to be something that he wasn't, into, okay, I'm going to hide behind a crew of a bunch of people and kick a bunch of ass and then make myself into something. Like, you watch that character develop. You always or like The Rock going from someone like that was pushed into our face and we weren't exactly like, to getting that charisma and becoming The Rock that we all love and know. You always want to watch that character. And then I'll relay it to them. Like, it's very much the same. Like, if you're watching a Lord of the Rings or a Game of Thrones, you're watching for a certain character. You want to watch a character go from here to go to here. And wrestling is very similar. So I relay that, and that's very important to me. Getting into wrestling and doing my training and everything is just, and doing this promo contest is, I wanted a character that felt real. I wanted a character that you could invest in. And now by this time, where I've kind of established it in this promo contest and get the origins of the whole character, like I said, it's very important to me that someone could either get a lesson out of it or relate to it in any way. And I love anyone who has sent me a message and actually said that they've either been brought to tears or just they got something out of my promos. If you're listening, I really appreciate it, because that's really important to me. And that was the number one thing I wanted to do with Adrian Clay, was tell a story and make it something relatable. So that's my whole process.
That's beautiful, man. I know. I want to dig into the character at one point. We're gonna have to do a show, man, where we just really get into how the indie scene works, how the character works, maybe have you showing character so everybody can see the difference, but we'll table that for a different day. Absolutely. Now, you said the Ontario-based cosplayer. What do you cosplay?
So I actually cosplay as a character named Gumby, which is a claymation character from the 1950s, who now is unfortunately bought by Fox. I'm not too happy about that, mainly just because they don't have any idea of what made Gumby and they're trying to reimagine it. And one of the things they did was made him an NFT, and I could go on for maybe like 2 hours on how I hate that. But essentially, I play a character from the 1950s that a lot of people grew up and loved with and still love to this day. But I embody the best personality traits of me and the best personality traits of that character, and I embody it into a costume about 4 days a week on Twitch and also at conventions for the last like 10 years in the Ontario scene. So I play a piece of clay, essentially, that walks around and makes out of things out of imagination, and kids love it, and I love it because it actually helped me a lot in a dark space, because like I said before, talking about Adrian Clay, I am a rape victim, and that did really fuck me up for about 2 years. I kind of kept to myself. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't even touch myself. Like, I was completely celibate for 2 years. Like, that just completely messed me up. But that costume was basically the only happiness I had, because I was able to actually turn off everything that was going on with me mentally for just one weekend every month. I would just be able to go out and entertain and just pretend like nothing was going on with me. I was play this character is just like, it's like Curtis just doesn't exist right now. It's just Gumby, and people gravitated to that. And originally I did the costume because it was actually a way for me to hide away from crowds, because I had high anxiety for crowds. But it just kind of became a thing after like 4 years of just doing it in the same like 2 conventions over and over again, because I was just having fun doing it. And it took a life on its own. And now I kind of I do multiple characters now, but that's the main character that I do is Gumby. So I appear at conventions, I appear at charity events, kids stuff, like wherever work I can do. And I also do Twitch, and people get a kick out of the costume. So I mean, like, we got shirts too. So I mean, like, I love what I do. So I am a cosplayer or a professional cosplayer that appears at events and stuff, mainly for free. I don't make a lot of money on that. That's why I make merch and everything. People
Yeah.
can go out and grab those that they would like. But yeah, no, I do it for the love of it because Gumby helped me in a very dark space in my life, and I played the character ever since. And I even get like kids coming up to me. I think like one of my favorite interactions was a 7-year-old and her father actually came up to me, and this was at like Anime North 2018, and her father was telling me that she's been watching me for 4 years and was wondering if she could get a picture. Like that actually like melted my heart just because like yeah, so like just to think for a second, like she's been watching me essentially since she was like 4 years old. So like that's fucking crazy to me.
And she's just wanted a photo.
Yeah, and she just wanted a photo. So she like her father came up to me. I've had interactions with kids that were like crying at the TTC. They'd see me get fucking excited. And one kid showed me like his like clay collection and everything, and showing me how like what he could do with clay and everything. And then I would have like mothers thanking me afterwards because like it's like my kid was crying all morning until he saw you. So it's like that's why I do it. I if I can make someone happy in the moment, it makes me happy, and it keeps me going and keeps me motivated. And it's why I've done it for 10 years, because it kind of changed my life for the better, and gives me gratification, gives me motivation to wake up every day and just entertain.
I love it. You have, and at the core of the base of who actually is Curtis, there has to be entertainer in there, because one side with the darkness of Clay, on the other side, the lightness of Gumby. You've got the full spectrum, man. It's truly amazing.
Well, it's because I've been doing acting and I've been doing singing since I was like, I think like 9 years old, 12 years old. Like I started doing it more in publicly when I was 12, and I never stopped. So I would always take drama classes. I would always take like music classes, and like I would do plays. I would do YouTube, like, and I've done so many different avenues of entertainment. I've been all over the place, like voice acting, music, cosplay, wrestling, sports, like you name it. I pretty much done it. Whether professionally or just for a hobby. I just love entertaining, and I love acting, and I love just giving people joy, just with my words, or just acting, or just being a goof, even if it's just, yeah, like I said, just being a goof in the Gumby costume and just fucking messing around with people. That brings me joy because it brings others joy. And I've been doing that since I was a young kid, because I was always an energetic, like just an energetic kid that suffered from epilepsy till he was like literally 12 years, like pretty much till he was 12 years old. So once I was no longer on medication and I was more energetic, like, yeah, I kind of wanted to take the world on and make it my own and do what I wanted to do, which is what I do now. It's what I've always wanted to do since I was that age, and I never stopped, even though people were calling me an idiot and saying, you know, this isn't realistic, you need a 9 to 5. And it's just like I never believed in that. I just always thought, I'm like, no, there has to be a way. There has to be a way that I can get into wrestling. There has to be a way that I can be a production manager. There has to be a way that I can video edit and do everything that I want to do in life. And I was able to do it. And it was because I was able to ignore everyone around me that was telling me that I couldn't.
I literally just had this conversation with my mom, maybe 20 to 30 minutes before we started this. We were talking about my little sister who started college recently. She went back to college, or was getting back into her studies. And my mom's like, oh, I'm so happy she's getting back to her studies. She's going to figure out what she wants to do in her life. And I told my mom, I said, well, if she knows what she wants to do, or she'll do whatever she does, whatever makes her happy is what you want to do, because we're not here for a long time. Might as well have fun while you're here, and don't be beat down by some job you don't want to do. You know, that's been my whole philosophy. We're not here for a long time. Do what you love, do it while you can. And my mom's like, well, but it's still good that she's going to school. I said, if she likes it, if that's what she wants to do, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I mean, for me, my main push was actually being laid off from FedEx in 2020, and it was just simply because they didn't want to pay me.
No,
and it wasn't because my job effort or my work ethic wasn't good. I was working 6 trucks. No, sorry. I was working 8 trucks a night for them. I was working 8 trucks a night for them and about like 8 to 13-hour shifts and during a Christmas holiday. So my work ethic or my productivity wasn't the reason I was laid off.
Yeah.
I was laid off because they didn't want to pay me, because they could hire someone who is 19 and pay them minimum wage and not have to pay them benefits. If they hired me, they would have had to pay me $23 an hour plus benefits, which was dental and fucking medical.
Wasn't cost effective.
So they were like, oh, well, it's because we could hire you, but but for your salary, we could hire 3 other people and not have to pay that. That's literally what the CEO said to me. Just like, but you can reapply again if you want to go for the system again. We'll hire you.
You would have come through minimum wage.
Oh man, the amount of shit I caused in that office. I don't think I've had ever gratification. I'm like, my contract ends on January 9th. You will never see me walk through this door again. And I think, and right after I left for my final shift, I actually got home and I started my podcast that day. So I literally got home at 7 a.m. and I just ranted about how I was just basically used by FedEx. And then just like, you know what? This is a good thing, because now I'm going to just do what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
And I finally just started doing what I wanted to do. I registered for my studio. I started doing started working for Barry Wrestling and started doing video production, and one thing led to another. And yeah, now I'm doing what I love, and this is what I do every day. And I love doing it, and I'm very grateful for it. But that was kind of my kick in the ass, was actually being used by some prick fucking company called FedEx, which I have no problem throwing them under the bus, because you know what? Honestly, I worked my ass off for them, and I loved working for the company and everyone that I worked with. But you know what? They were the kicker for me to start working for myself, because you know what? If I have to work like 13-hour days or 15-hour days and like break my back for it, I'd rather do it for myself.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Because then at the end of the day, I have gratification and I produce something that people enjoy, people find entertainment of. And I wake up, I make less than what I was making at FedEx. I can fully admit that. But you know what? The amount of gratification I get and the amount of like happiness and reward that comes with what I do now is well worth the pay cut, because I know eventually with my hard work and dedication, that will all come in the future. And they're probably kicking themselves for fucking getting rid of me, or at least we're kicking themselves for a little bit, because there were some supervisors that were messaging me and actually letting me know, like, this is hell. Well, I mean, you don't kick someone off from 8 trucks and not train someone to replace them.
Yeah, that's bad management.
That's horrible. That's horrible. And that's all the CEOs of that company. There's not anyone on the floor. Everyone on the floor knew exactly how fucked they were when I was leaving the door.
So that's it's pretty interesting. Here's an awful weird segue. CEOs to EVPs. Specifically, maybe CEOs too. The whole AEW and Cody Rhodes saga. Do we see with these recent reports, Cody's going to the WWE?
Isn't he actually signed? I thought there was reports that actually he was actually signed with WWE. Yeah. I'm not surprised, because in reality, he just wants to book. Like, he wants one last good run, and then he wants to book because he wants to retire early due to well, like it's reasonable. People don't want to fucking work until they literally can't be crippled anymore and walk around like Hulk Hogan. He doesn't want to be like that, and I don't goddamn blame him.
Yeah.
But ultimately he wants to book like his dad, and Tony Khan's not going to relinquish that, unfortunately. So yeah, if he has to go back to a company that was once not great to him in order to do that, then more power to him, because ultimately at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of wrestling fans get a little bit too passionate or get a little bit too hostile to people making the decisions, but ultimately at the end of the day, we all just want to make money here in this business. We all want to be happy. So when one company doesn't work out, maybe the others doesn't happen. It's just like, oh well, fuck WWE or fuck AEW. It's like one company may not work for someone else, but another company will. That's why WWE has always been on the top of the empire, even though most people don't, about 75% of the people that go through that company don't exactly make it. It's only because it's not meant for everyone. That's why you have Impact. That's why you have New Japan. That's why you have AEW. Like, you have all these alternatives. It's just great now we have multiple main promotions for everyone to work in. So when everyone was like, oh, why would he go back to WWE and everything, I wasn't mad at all. I was just like, hey, if they can actually use him right this time, and he makes, like, instead of $500,000 a year from AEW, he makes $3 to $5 million a year from WWE, more power to Cody.
Yeah, he
gets to use his last name again. He gets to actually use the Rhodes name. He can burn that hatchet with that's been brewing for the last like 6-8 years. So I mean, more fucking power to Cody. Let him make his money.
So we're gonna put you in the dusty spot. Then we're gonna have you play Booker here. How do you book the return of Cody Rhodes?
Well, they're booking him with Seth Rollins, and that could be a actual good thing. I don't want to see Cody just thrusted into the main event scene, because then you had that same problem that I feel with Ronda Rousey, where she's just kind of pushed a little bit too much and too quickly. I don't mind that Ronda Rousey is being pushed, because at the end of the day, she's a draw. Of course, you want to push someone who draws you money. But I just feel like they thrust her a little bit too quickly into it. Like, she just came back to the Royal Rumble, froze out a whole bunch of people that have been contenders for like fucking 6 months, and then literally like makes it like, okay, you're all shit. I came back after like 2 years, and you're all like, no, that doesn't make anyone look good. That doesn't make her look good. That doesn't make any of the roster look like. So Cody, I think it's smart the way they're booking him, not making him show, because I don't think he's going to show until WrestleMania. And I feel like Seth Rollins could be a good introduction, because, well, I mean, who better to start off your main feud with one of your bigger wrestlers, especially one of your more gifted wrestlers, because Seth Rollins wasn't exactly, besides the Shield and everything, we didn't get much interaction between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, because Cody was pretty much out the door by the time the Shield was becoming more of a thing. Like, we only got that tag match, which, yeah, no, Seth was involved in that tag match, but we've only gotten tag matches from him, and that was when Seth was still a rookie. So now Seth is so fully established. I think it's very smart. I think the way you should do it, and because this goddamn title needs it so bad, put the Intercontinental title back on Cody, because you need someone to actually establish it again. And I'm sorry, you keep putting it on The Miz, and I love The Miz, and he did ride that title and made it prestigious again, but put it back on Cody, because Cody actually made that title mean something. So then when Cody gets beat for that title, you thrust him into the main event scene afterwards. So I feel like if I was going to book Cody, I'd book him a slow build, make him work with some incredible guys that he didn't get to actually work with, like Seth Rollins now in his prime. I would love to see Cody and Edge go at it, because especially with Edge's mentality now and this new character he's going, I think they could build an incredible story, like the American Nightmare versus like this new persona of Edge. I feel could build a really good story behind that. Definitely want to see Cody versus AJ. Like
Yes.
that needs to happen. You could definitely have some very Ring of Honor feels with that. There's just a lot of dream matches you could actually do with Cody, just because there's a lot of new talent that wasn't around when Cody was around. So like there's a lot of fresh matches. So I think it makes sense for him to come back if he's going to do one last run, let him have a whole bunch of great matches with some of these like newer WWE talent, and then just don't put him on NXT 2.0. Please, please. No. Like, or if you do, rebrand it back to the black and gold, and then actually push him, make him be like your new face or something for that. But I'm not a fan of this new NXT. I know it has its market, and I know it works for some people. It's not for me.
Me neither.
It's not. I'm original NXT, and I feel them trying to snub out AEW really watered down their product, and it's unfortunate. Because I really, like I said, I really loved NXT.
I love the black and gold. The original black and gold was greatness. I think the only time that I've paid for a deluxe edition of a video game, for a wrestling video game, is when they did the black and gold edition.
I think that was the last time I bought a deluxe edition for a wrestling game. I didn't even buy the deluxe edition for 2K20 because I was nervous.
Good reason.
Yeah, and it was shit. It was shit. That was $95. I'll never get back. Oh man, it took me 7 weeks to beat that game on the story mode because my copy was so broken.
I still haven't beaten 2K20 at all.
Oh, it's not worth it. So the ending of that game, you get into the Hall of Fame, like they show the Hall of Fame ceremony. They were so fucking lazy. They couldn't even put the Hall of Fame graphic on the Titantron. So it's just a black Titantron. You stand up, the 2023 Hall of Fame, and it's just show like it was so terrible. Like that entire story was terrible, and the Royal Rumble took me 3 weeks to beat because of how fucking broken my game was, and I broke a controller.
That's where I'm stuck.
Controllers. I don't break controllers. I threw my controller during that moment. Like I had to wait for 4 patches.
Damn.
There's about 6.5 gigabytes of footage of my PlayStation 4 of how broken 2K20 was on my copy. So anyone who tells me that 2K20 was a good game or they didn't run into any issues, I send them links to my PlayStation account, and they can look at that themselves.
2K20 was garbage. Have you played 22 yet?
Yes, it's actually great, and I'm very, very surprised by that because I was really hesitant after 2K20, but no, they actually knocked it out of the park this time around. I love the new control scheme, even though it's taking me a bit to get used to still.
Yes.
But the one thing I was having a complaint of, I missed that pick up and play feel. Because there was a lot of my friends that had dropped the game simply because they felt like they had to learn 1,000,001 fucking controls, and it's just like that they couldn't just pick up the controller like they did in the past. And like now, I feel like my friends who bud mash can actually compete in this game because you have to wear down your opponent, and it's a lot more accessible. It's a lot more fun. There's definitely some flaws with it. Like I could say GM mode could be a little bit better, but I think for the foundation and what's here is really solid. Just hopefully they actually get a good game, because I think 2K, as much as people are like, yeah, 2K, lose the license, they're talking to EA, and I'd much rather 2K than EA, because you know what? No.
And I want a microtransaction for every Hall of Famer that's ever lived.
Oh, I don't want a fucking 2K. I don't want a WWE Ultimate Team. I don't want it. You know, this new My Faction mode felt like a very stripped down version of Ultimate Team. But which that's one of my flaws with the new 2K is I don't like that mode. I feel it's useless. It's useless and garbage and just there just to fucking make money. And it doesn't even make sense because it's not even competitive. So like, why is it here? Why'd you take money out of the game? And you could have put all these resources into, I don't know, giving me fucking tag titles in the GM mode. I swear to God, you make that a DLC, I'm gonna be like rant. I will rant for like 20 minutes on how that's just shit. I hate that. But no, 2K22 though is very good. I'm really enjoying it. I love the new control scheme, and I feel like they redeemed themselves for what they did in 2K20. Just
they took an extra year, but it shows.
Yes, and I feel like they should continue to take an extra year. Just give us a roster update for this game next year and take another year and build up 2K24 or whatever you want to call it into a better experience, because I feel like the 2-year cycle should start being a thing. Stop doing the yearly releases, and I'm talking about every game in general. This isn't just fucking wrestling. Let's talk about sports games too in general. Sports games need to stop this. Because it's just, you can't make improvements in 6 months. You just can't. You can make incremental improvements, but you can't make overall improvements. And that's why all these wrestling games and these sports games like Madden and FIFA and all these, they're all feel stagnated because there's not enough time to actually make the game feel different. And
I mean, look at what the UFC does with their games, which is unbelievable.
Which is baffling because it's an EA game.
Yeah.
So they understand it. The Fight Night round 3 guys understand you need 2 years. You need 2 years to actually build the game up.
It looks different. It plays different. And then you're like, oh, wow, I got an actual new game, not just last year's remake.
Yeah. And now that's starting to actually affect other games. Apparently Call of Duty is not coming at this year. They're taking a 2-year.
Thank God.
No, thank God. Every game needs to start doing this. No more Assassin's Creeds every year. No more Call of Duties every year. Especially no more Battlefields. If you play the new Battlefield, they just got leaderboards in the new Battlefield. I can't even stress enough how frustrating that is, that something as simple as a kill-death ratio took 4 months. So just no more yearly releases. Like, I can wait 2 years. Just give me little incremental updates. Give me some DLC and call it that. I don't need a new game. So hopefully they do that, because I'm just afraid 2K is going to come out with another game next year. It's just going to feel the same, and we're going to go right back to this cycle again.
The vicious cycle. But another vicious cycle we have, just like you're saying, every 2 years is great for video games. I don't think 2 nights is great for WrestleMania. It seems like that's the way they want to go moving forward. What are your thoughts?
See, when they started doing that, like the first year, I thought was really cool, just because you had 2 nights of jam-packed like matches, and especially like splitting off the Bray Wyatt versus John Cena match in one night. And then having like your main event title in the second night was very smart, because the way that WrestleMania night 1 went off was brilliant. Like John Cena disappearing, Bray Wyatt showing off, black, like that captivated me. Like that I was just like, oh my God, I need to fucking see night 2. Like nothing on this WrestleMania card, and I mean nothing, is making me like, oh, do I need to watch both nights? Because one night's just looking far superior than the other night. Like I don't know how they're going to split it up. I feel like the 2 nights could work, but you have to really book your card properly, because when it's not booked properly, then one night looks better than the other night. So, and WWE keeps having this inability. This is the second year in a row you've had a 2-night WrestleMania that has just been boring. It's not captivating. You're not giving me something or a reason to watch both nights. I just want to watch a few nights, and unless you spread them out between both nights, which really at this point is the only way you're going to get people to watch night 1 and night 2. Yeah, no, it's not working. So I think maybe one more year, if they can pull it back around and give us like that WrestleMania 36, 35 feel with the 2-night, then sure. But the way they're booking it now, no. They need
next year's in LA. So I mean, if you can't put on a spectacular card for LA, what are you doing?
They need to come back to Toronto. They keep skipping Toronto, and I keep getting frustrated. It's like, yeah, we're super close. Like we're in New York, and it's like, yes, come to Toronto. You're like literally across. You're across the ocean, and it's like, we're going back to Florida. It's like, fuck.
The wrong way.
It's like you haven't been here. They haven't been here since WrestleMania 18. They gave us SummerSlam. They gave us Survivor Series. They gave us Royal Rumble. Give us WrestleMania. It's been over 15 years.
Mania 18 was a good Mania too. It's not like it was a bad card.
And what's frustrating too is that they come here, they won't go back to the Sky Dome or now the Rogers Center. They'll just go to the Air Canada Center or now the Scotiabank Arena. Which frustrates me because I really want to see WrestleMania, whatever. If they come out, I want to see them come to the Rogers Center and try that again, because WrestleMania 18, one of the best parts about watching WrestleMania 18 was just how many people were there. Like literally you had every single floor just stacked. And yeah, it's not as many seats as you could fill, like say like an LA arena or a New York arena or anything like that. But Toronto,
it looks like it though.
Toronto crowds are just fun. Like, I don't know if you remember Survivor Series with Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, but like I was at that Survivor Series. That was just such a great magical moment to be a part of. Yeah, the match sucked, but like I never thought I would ever see Goldberg live in my lifetime. And to be a part of 22,000 fans screaming Goldberg during his entrance is something I will always cherish with me. Nice. So yeah, no, I really want them to come back to Toronto because like we're such a passionate fan base, and I just think it would be such a magical WrestleMania. It wouldn't be a huge scale WrestleMania, but even if they try London, even if they try London, because I know AEW plans to come to London, Ontario, because Tony Khan actually owns one of the arenas around here. Yep. So I'm waiting for them to come around here too. So, but yeah, no, I just feel like us Canadians, we get snubbed for WrestleMania.
Well, you guys produce some of the greatest wrestlers. I don't know why they wouldn't at least try to go up there and let y'all see some of them that's current.
There's a rumor mill that just Vince hates Canada. And I tend to believe it.
You know, it doesn't help him that he hasn't brought a good card there in a while. And a lot of his best wrestlers are Canadian. I mean, KO right now is killing it. It's Canadian.
Jericho,
Canadian. The other side, you've got Kenny Omega, Canadian.
You even got some of the indie darlings like Rip Impact, Canadian, Lance Storm. Just our lineage, the whole Hart Foundation. We have our lineage is just huge in this country, and I feel like that's never recognized in WWE for one reason or another. Whether they're just like pro-American and just everything American, but I just never understood that, because I mean other companies recognize that and are proud of that. That's why I was kind of happy when they did the North American Championship for NXT, because I felt like, oh, we're finally getting recognized.
No, it's just on the title.
It's just on the title.
That's part of the design. Oh, shoot. Well, they need to bring a good card up to you guys. I feel like you're due. The fans out there across the pond in the London area is also due. They haven't had a good one since SummerSlam, but I mean, they got
SummerSlam. It wasn't very great. I didn't even go to that show because the card didn't compel me. It really just didn't. I don't know. I've been so out of touch with like WWE product. I just kind of check it out once in a while, just because I'm not happy with their booking. I'm just not happy where everyone's standing in that company right now, and I'm not happy with a lot of the decisions being made. The behind the scenes shit, that's a whole other deal. Being a part of the industry, I have a very jaded view on that, and I have opinions that probably wouldn't be favorable to a lot of fans, but like I understand some business things in other ways. But
Right.
the one thing I always give people shit for is, oh, I'm happy someone got released. I'm like,
No.
why the fuck are you happy that someone lost their job? Like, he's like, do you have a family too? Like, would you be happy if your boss just came up to you? It's like, oh, sorry, pal. Budget cuts. You're fired. And it's just like, you did nothing wrong. You did absolutely nothing. Is, oh, sorry, kid. Like, I have nothing for you. Good shit. Like, that's not fun. No one ever wants that. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, to wake up, and especially via text.
Yeah, that's
another thing. Imagine being fucking let go from your company via a public post that wasn't described to you, and you found out through fucking Twitter.
Just to let y'all know, hey, this person's not booked anymore.
Yeah, like,
what?
Oh, sorry. I wake up at 9 a.m. and I'm tagged in a corporate post on Twitter that I'm fired. Real nice, real classy.
Real classy. I appreciate the sentiments.
Appreciate that. And then you're reading a whole bunch of like, oh, I knew it. I knew that guy was going to get fired. I'm so happy. Why are you happy?
You know what? A shooting shit classic that we like to do here. We use it only once a show, and I think this is a great time to do it. All you fans out there, people in the IWC who are so happy when someone gets released, this is the one per show. IWC, do better. Come on.
Do better. Stop being dicks.
Yes.
Put yourself in someone's shoes who gets let go from a company after putting their all in, despite whether you fucking like them or not. Put yourself in their shoes and realize that, hey, they just lost money off their table. They can't provide for their family. And like, look at what happened with Josh Alexander when his visa got fucking canceled. He had to go back to construction. And I know Josh, and I was fucking livid because that guy bust his ass.
Yeah.
He busts his ass. And people who are fucking happy, I'm going to actually say, because this is the shooting part, fuck you. Because you know what? Like, Josh puts so much into what he does, and he's so incredibly gifted and did not deserve any of that. He should not have had to go back to his construction job for a month. Yes. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. Anyone who busts their ass for entertainment and puts their all into it and then gets unjustifiably left go due to circumstances out of their control, don't be fucking happy about that. Put yourselves in that shoes, and if that happened to you, and then people were fucking coming to you and say, "Ha, you lost your job," that's not cool. You wouldn't like it either. So why are you doing it to others? And it's the same with like people that are shooting on people. It's like, well, why are you bitching on a podcast about you fucking getting let go about something? Okay, here's the way I relay this too. If you look at a job posting, you look at it like a job, like a company on a job board, they got a 2.8 out of 10. They have bad retention. They have bad business practices. Their schedule is horrible. And they put a whole bunch of people out of work and treated them like shit. You wouldn't work for that company, would you?
Nope.
So why is it different for a wrestler who is treated the same way in a company, not able to go out and publicly say, hey, if you're going to sign for this company, make sure they don't do this to you. Yep. They're not telling you not to watch a product. They're not saying, oh, fucking to hell with this place because they did this to me. No, they're putting out their story. I'm like, hey, not everything in this company is sunshine and roses. And when it's put out publicly, guess what happens? Things change. Things get better. Now people get paid better. People get fucking insurance. People get fucking like it improves the business. If things aren't put out in public, how are we supposed to know? How are things supposed to change? You know, when you bitch about something, it's because you love something. People don't get mad at something because they hate it. People get mad at something because they're passionate about it. regardless whether they like it, they hate it, they do anything, they want something to get better.
Right.
You criticize something, it's because you're passionate about it. Because if you're not passionate about it, you wouldn't fucking talk about it. Oh, fuck that. And it's not even talk about it. It just drives me up the walls when people get fucking happy when someone's getting fired and don't put it into the shoes, or bitch about someone like John Moxley going on like a 3-month tangent because he was used and abused by a company that he put his all into.
Right.
It's this, put yourselves in that shoes. We're all human. We all just want people to get better. Places to no longer be shit.
I mean, and then one of the better, kind of stories I could see from people getting released is Matt Cardona. Cardona bet on himself big time.
I love his mentality of, he says WWE was his developmental.
Yes.
And I feel like that's such a great mentality to have, because it's true. He learned all the tools that he needed to become successful within WWE, and that's why he doesn't see WWE as a bad thing. He saw it as a good thing. And the same with Malachi Black, who says, hey, I learned the tools that I needed to become successful elsewhere. And it's the same with Adam Cole too. He kind of left just because, he wasn't creatively happy and he felt like he could go elsewhere, but he needed WWE to learn those tools to make him as good as he was in AEW.
Yeah.
And still is. So,
dude, I still contend that House of Black right now, Malachi Black, that whole storyline that he's carried over from company to company is the best thing in wrestling right now.
I love that he kept the black guy. That was so genius. I love that he just took one company's story and just continued it in another company. That's pretty goddamn creative.
Hell yeah. So we've touched a little Mania, talked a little Cody Rhodes. You know what? We're at AEW. Let's get a little bit of AEW here. So the big thing with AEW is everybody always likes to criticize either the viewership numbers or the champions. And the biggest thing I see right now trending amongst the IWC faithful is the drawing power of Hangman Adam Page. What are your thoughts on Hangman?
Hangman is a definition of storytelling. This was a slow build that they started before AEW, and then when AEW was established, the first one to say, I want to be a champion, I will hold this AEW World Heavyweight Championship, was Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah.
And it was a slow build that was teased constantly and even brought in through deception and just humiliation through getting kicked out of the Elite, getting through drugs and alcohol type issues. Like, the amount of storytelling that has been with Hangman Page, I think has been gold. And I think he's been a great world champion because that slow build over those 2 years to get him to where he was. And I feel like he's just putting on really incredible matches. I personally don't agree with the IWC. Is like, oh, he's not a draw. He's just not as good as Kenny Omega. I'm like, you can't keep the championship on Kenny Omega forever. And whoever was going to beat Kenny Omega was going to become that next big star. Yep. So if you're going to build the story with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page and build it up slowly through tag teams, deception, kicking out of factions, and having that brothership, why not put it on Page? Because even if you take it off Page now, next month, to anyone, it's going to continue building a star. Whoever takes it off Page is going to become the next star. Yep. And once Kenny Omega comes back, you can continue that feud with him and Hangman, because Hangman's the one that screwed Kenny. So it's like, I think his championship not only has been a very, very entertaining one, because I've been loving the matches he's been putting on. They've just been killer.
Yes.
But I think you've been getting some of the best promos from Hangman too. Like that promo he did the week before Revolution on Adam Cole was such a shoot. It was brilliant. And just like saying that the last word you'll be hearing is boom. That was fucking brilliant. And I just feel like we're getting the best of Hangman right now from that title run. And yeah, maybe it's not drawing, but you know what? It's still, TBS is happy. TNT is happy. And people are saying he's not drawing. Why? Because it's not making WWE ratings. It's not making Raw or SmackDown rate. Who gives a shit?
Yep.
TNT is happy. TBS is happy. AEW is happy. So why does that matter? Why does one company have to be the better of the other? Why can't just both companies exist and be for their own different markets?
Exactly.
So it's I think Hangman has had a great run. I've been thoroughly entertained. I've loved the stuff with Daniel Bryan. I loved the stuff with just everyone that he's been working with, and just I'm really excited to see who they got next, because I swear like MJF is crawling up and CM Punk is crawling up, and I feel like both of them could get a really good match out of Hangman. I think you maybe drop it to MJF, but he's got to get through Wardlow right now, which Wardlow's going to be such a big player. I swear to God, he's going to be such a big player.
That's the next big star that's coming is Wardlow.
Were you surprised he was the winner of the ladder match?
I want to say yes. Something inside of me felt that they would go with Keith Lee, because the ladder matches, historically were won by the incoming new guy.
Yeah, guys, I asked that because I think you predicted on Buckle Bomb on Ring Around the Jabroni that it was going to be Keith Lee, and I even said I thought it was actually like, I don't know, I can't even remember what I said. I think I was with you with Keith Lee, but I did have Wardlow as a second close pick, but I was just like, I didn't think they were going to make the jump on him, but I'm just glad they split him off of MJF, because they had to.
Oh,
they had to if they're going to push him like that.
And the crowd reaction, and honestly, to hit on Revolution for a second, I was there. And the Punk MJF match maybe went a little long for fans who were in the arena, because we couldn't see everything from all angles when they were outside the ring.
Yeah.
Did have a little bit of tempo issues. But the moment Wardlow came out there, that place erupted. The whole place woke up again. That man's a draw.
He's seriously a draw, and that's awesome to see, because usually those big tight characters that are very limited don't get drawn, because I hate to say wrestling fans are fickle, but I hate that wrestling fans are just like, he's not a draw because he's limited and he's too big and he can only do a fucking power slam, and he can't do like a 450. He can't start the ding, ding, ding 450 splash off of the top rope. I'm like, not everyone needs to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like,
can.
Look, like, I love monsters and big type characters who are limited because they know who they are. They know what they can do. They're limited in their ability, and they do what they can to make the best of their limitations. And they're more characters. They're just they play more of a character than anything else. Just like with me with Adrian Clay, I know I'm not going to be the most athletically gifted. I'm 6 foot tall, and I have epilepsy issues, and I have things like that. I worry about my head a lot. So you're not going to be touching like me, like, oh, the bell ring, I'm going to throw someone out and do a 450 splash off of the fucking springboard. You're never going to see that from Adrian Clay, because I'm a safe worker. I'm more submission, technical striker. So it's just, but I feel like not everyone has to be athletic. Not everyone has to be gifted. And it bugs me when people get so goddamn annoyed about like people like Wardlow, who are very limited, but like are very, very good at what they do, because they know their limitations and they play within it to the best of their ability. And Wardlow's special because of that, because he's just, he does those incredible fucking power bombs and just literally can feed off of a crowd. He's very, he knows what he's doing. So I mean, like,
he's got it.
He's got it, and
you can't teach it.
And it irritates me when I read just people talking shit about people like Wardlow because they can't do like a 450 splash, or it's like, you're not Ricochet. It's like, He doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. He doesn't
Come on.
have to be.
There's different types of wrestling, guys. Not everybody has to be the small high flyers.
Exactly. That's why we have different parts in the card.
Yep. Yeah, and I think especially for Wardlow in his case, just to kind of focus on, he is that big monster, but he got over without even really saying much. We didn't really even get a whole bunch of the Wardlow character, but what he was, it just oozed off of him so much that he just got over.
It's so crazy how he just like and that's the funny thing is sometimes us fans, we drive the narrative. And that's one thing I appreciate about AEW is they go with that. They don't ignore it. That when the fans are getting behind someone,
Right.
they'll get fully behind someone. When they see the crowd reacting, they will turn someone. That's why when Jericho has been getting boos with Eddie Kingston for the last 2 months, they turned him heel. They broke up the inner circle. Like that was brilliant because Jericho, besides all the Judas singing because we're all just crazy fans, yeah, the fans were turning on Jericho, so this was the time to turn him heel again. So it's just I appreciate when companies go with us fans when we're kind of driving the narrative or getting behind someone, and Wardlow is one of those cases where it's just like, I don't know, something that just clicked. He didn't have to say much. It was the BTE moments with Dark Order. It was just him showing up and just doing his thing and doing the matches and showing like, hey, I'm a big man that can actually do things. And like, yeah, there's just those magical moments you can't really replicate any other time in wrestling. And sometimes, and like now, it's one of those cases where we drive the narrative, and I love when it happens. And Wardlow is one of those cases, which is why I hope they continue on his big build. And I think he's going to be a very big player this year. Like, I don't think he'll hold a world title by the end of the year, but maybe the TNT championship, and he'll definitely get very over as the months go on. I think we're going to book him very well.
I feel it. I feel this feud with MJF is going to do leaps and bounds for Wardlow and MJF as well. I mean, MJF, he's been
propelled since Revolution. This feud with CM Punk, if he wasn't already made, he is a made man now. He is one of the top heels in this, and not only in this company, but this industry right now. And he's a shining example of how to do this. He's not a chicken shit heel. He is very in your face, and he knows how to cut a promo, and he knows how to wrestle. And those are the three things that you need to be a successful heel. And I love everything that MJF does. That feud was amazing. I'm really looking forward to this feud with Wardlow, and hopefully his future reign as World Heavyweight Champion, because God, put the title on him so he doesn't leave AEW, because for fuck's sake, he's so good and he just needs that title run. Like,
we don't want to see him leave.
I want to see him take it off Hangman. I think like that would be a very, very propelling thing. And then just have Kenny Omega and Hangman feud for a bit. Eventually Kenny can turn face and maybe take it off MJF in like a year's time, but give like MJF a substantial run.
Yeah, give him some real good heat.
Oh, because he's already being booed out of arenas. Just the moment the music starts playing. So, which by the way, he has my favorite intro in AEW. I fucking love his theme song so much.
I do too. And the man he's the complete package. Baseball terms, he's your 5-tool player. He does it all. But the fact that he keeps kayfabe as well as he does,
that's crazy too. Because like I can tell you, that's hard for me. Like I'm gonna struggle with that in my future, because I love doing podcasts and talking like this, and I have my own brands of being my character. And then it's just like, I go through that curtain and I gotta be some psychotic monster that fucking hates everyone and wants to burn the chaos to the ground. So like, I commend MJF for how he's able to have such a character that he's able to keep it going outside of the ring. And like, I don't know if you've seen his interview with Chris Van Vliet, but that was so entertaining, especially when he's throwing his breakfast shit at Chris. It's just like, oh, you want an egg? fucking throws a piece of toast and egg at him, at his face. Like,
I knew this dude was different, and I've seen it firsthand. I was at StarCast, man, when he was, talking shit to everybody. The guy's in a wheelchair. He's like, I'm going to do something you can, and he walks off on him. There was a dude who had another wheelchair, and it had a little lift up so he could take a photo with them, and he looks at him and says, are you trying to stand up to me? I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy is brutal.
did you see that one video of that kid in the wheelchair that was just like literally giving it to MJF, and like
Yes.
MJF couldn't even like reply great with him? He's just like literally rebuttaling everything MJF said. That kid's fucking legendary.
Yep. Dude, it's and I think that's the good thing though too, because you're gonna have your fans that are like, I love this guy for this. He's being real, he's being himself. But
Dude, just don't get him to sign your AEW figure because he'll put something vulgar on this. I seen something in an AEW group on Facebook. Someone got him to sign his figure, and he wrote on this is just like, I heard a rumor that you like dog cocks. Like literally wrote that on his fucking.
at least I got lucky. I've had MJF sign for me twice. I've met him twice. One, I have a figure that's actually signed MJF, better than you. Fantastic. The second one was a photo with him and Wardlow. He couldn't be bothered to sign it. He asked Wardlow to write MJF on it. So I have a Wardlow signature and then an MJF Wardlow.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a random fan. Like, I died laughing seeing that. It's just like, wait, what? Yeah, he just wrote on to some random fans. It's just like, so it just literally says, I heard you had a rumor. I heard a rumor, ... that you like dog cocks. Signed MJF.
The dude is brutal, man.
Oh, fucking brutal. Don't. Yeah, it's like he probably scans people and just looks at them. It's just like, animal fucker. That guy's fine. He looks good. You look ugly. I'm gonna write something fucking bad for you. Like, I wonder if he scans people and just like, this is how I'm gonna sign for each of them.
So when he had Wardlow sign MJF for him, we're in line, right? And the lady in front of me is losing her shit. Big MJF fan. She's got the signs. She's showing the signs. She's got the shirt on, and she's losing it. And MJF's like, come on, I don't have all day. She goes over there and she asks for a photo, and he goes, no. She gives him the 8x10 to sign, and he goes, just because you bought my shit, I see the shirt, I'll sign this. He signs it, and she walks off, and she's just like on cloud 9, and we're waiting for her to move, and he sees me, and he goes, yeah, all right, come on, tons of fun, let's go. And I'm like, motherfucker, I can't even say nothing now.
That's what I mean. I swear, like it feels like he just looks at a line and just scans them before they come up to him. So he just has an insult or some witty thing to say before you even show up. It's like, okay, there's a queue of 4. What lines am I going to say for these next 4 people?
He gets ready. He has to, man. He's freaking genius, next level shit right there. But
inspiration.
That is our hour. We'll go ahead and let you throw out where everyone can find you, get all your plugs in, make sure you get everybody. That way we can find you later on. So go ahead and tell the good people, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me, of course, Curtis Rich on twitter.com/OG, Curtis Rich, OG in capitals, and then Curtis Rich with capitals on Curtis and Rich. Of course, every other social media is Ontario Gumby, because all the rest of my social medias are that. Have a Patreon, patreon.com/Curtis Rich, which I put all my content, early access, and some exclusive stuff on that. And of course, I'm on the Genres Podcast Network, which also this show's on. So you can find me on there, wrestlingwithgenres.com/whereismymind, OIWpodcastnetwork.com /whereismymind, and of course, Where Is My Mind, which is my podcast every Mondays, which is available on all different podcast mediums, pretty much everywhere you got it. I post it everywhere. So wherever you get your podcasting content, you can look me up, and I'm more likely on there, except for Apple, because I'm still trying to figure out what the hell is going on with my Apple Podcasts right now. I'm having a hard time getting on their platform.
See, I'm happy I have a media person who takes care of that. Even though he's scourging the streets of Philadelphia looking for a toilet, he at least knows how to get us on Apple.
It's like my account. Like I had an old Apple account, but I think they either closed it or got hacked or something. So there's conflicting contact information. It's just I'm trying to revive that account, and then I made a new account, and it's just like, no, you can't fucking post because of yada yada yada, and you have conflicting information. So it's like it's a lot of back and forth with Apple trying to figure that all out. It's such a nightmare.
Bunch of red tape.
Yeah. So hopefully I get on Apple soon, because I mean that's a big demographic that I'd like to fucking tap into. But yeah, it's been a nightmare.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 28 of Shooting Shit with the one and only Curtis Rich, the Ontario Gumby. We will have him back one day as Adrian Clay so we can get the full figure of who this man is.
Oh, yeah. Be ready for that one. That should be very interesting.
Guys, gals, shooters in the shooter gallery, check out our info tab. We'll have every links to everything with both shows, Shooting Shit and Where Is My Mind, and everywhere to find the Ontario Gumby. Now, we'll let it all go home with a couple of music tunes from Half Decent Music.
Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow the show on Twitter at SHOOTINSHT, and thanks for listening.